The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Buffs On Podcast. We are the best POD in the 313. We got a full squad here for this pod, but Gabe is not with us. But we got the sixth man of the year here. We got Mike Brooks subbing in, as he always does, coming in clutch, helping us fill the squad. Today, we're doing more trade stuff. We're doing some. We got Mike with a trade. Coni's got some trades. Vali's got some trades. We're going to throw them into the trade machine, see how feasible they are, and then you guys let us know down below if you would take the deal, if you want the deal, or let us know a deal that we don't touch on, and maybe we'll touch on it in another pod. But we got a lot of stuff to get through, so I'm going to kick it over to Vali because he's first on my screen right now. Vali, what do you want to start with? Because I know we got some news that Paul Reed has been waived. So what does that mean for the team?
What does that mean to the team? This means that we have 2 open roster spots now. I'm not an expert. I'm learning all this from Twitter, so my apologies if I get something wrong. But we have 2 open roster spots now. This gives us the most cap room in the entire NBA right now with a little over 15 million. However, this also means that by the end of the day tomorrow, we're recording this on an afternoon on Saturday. So by midnight on Sunday or 11:59, the Pistons have to make a move of at least $2.48 million by the end of the day tomorrow. That can be signing a single player, or that can be a trade where we're getting at least one more player in return than sending out. I think this opens up a ton of doors for us with Paul Reed being gone. There was some really interesting quote that we're going to wait to see on Tobias Harris and Jalen Duren's injury status by tomorrow. Bickerstaff just said Duren is a name that's being thrown around in these conversations a lot. I think he's someone that realistically could be in his last 24 hours as a Detroit Piston, 24 to 32 hours here, which is pretty shocking. But this move by Paul Reed guarantees we are going to get a new Piston by tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. Confirmed, right?
Basically, I mean, we have to hit that cap floor by spending $2.48 million by tomorrow night. We have to spend at least that much money. So whether that be, us acquiring somebody via trade or picking somebody up off the free agent market, we need to spend that $2.48 million by tomorrow night to hit the cap floor.
And if we don't, this is from Bobby Marks. So if you guys have any more questions, tweet at Bobby Marks. If we don't spend that money, then we forfeit our tax distribution, which is projected at $19 million. I say tweet at him because I'm not entirely sure what that means, but context can say that's not a good thing. So I can just about 100% Buffs on guarantee that there's going to be a new Piston on this team by the end of the weekend. Who is that Piston going to be? We all have ideas for you, and since I get to go first, I think the first place to look for me is in New Orleans because the Pelicans, by all reports, are having a fire sale, similar to some other organizations. And I've identified 2 to 3 guys from this Pelicans roster that I think could really contribute to this team. And I want to start with Trey Murphy III. Trey Murphy III is a fantastic 3-point shooter. I'm sure Gabe will be smiling when he listens to this because Gabe loves Trey Murphy. Obviously, first of all, with New Orleans, there's a history with Fred Vinson being there. So he knows these guys. Trey Murphy is really he's a long player. He stands about 6'10". He loves to shoot the ball. I think he would be the perfect power forward for this team. And this is a deal that would likely have to send Stewart the other way. But I was working on the trade machine for an annoying amount of time on this. And it is currently near impossible to logistically acquire Trey Murphy III. So I do have 2 trade propositions for another Pelican. I love Trey Murphy, but it's really difficult to find a way to acquire him without a third or even a 4th team. And I don't know how to do all that. So I come in with another proposition. Herb Jones is a guy I would like to be targeting for this Pistons team. This is a team. I get that we have a few defensive wings in Asar and Ron already, but you can't bank on that. Herb Jones is a guy that's had significant improvement in the last couple of years. credit to Fred Vincent and his hard work ethic as well. The two deals I have centered around this, I have two separate ones. One is really easy. That's Jalen Duren for Herb Jones, straight up. Works on the trade machine, contracts match up, no issues there. The only concern I would have is we don't have a lot of bigs having just waived Paul Reed. Therefore,
How
I
many-
could work. What's up?
How many picks do you have going out the door from the Pistons side to make that thing work?
Yeah. I'm happy to throw in a protected first round pick, and I was thinking 2 second-round picks. If we could just do 2 second-round picks straight up, I think that's something that could. I think that's something logical. I think this is a real fire sale, and they're going to get in as many picks as possible. If you offer them 2 to 3 second-rounders, I think that's something that could really be done. Picks aside, because that'd be such a concern for our big men. I love Ivis Misi, the rookie in New Orleans, who's been starting at the 5 quite a bit. Nothing special about him. Big body, plays hard.
He's got something special. Every time I see him, he comes up with a couple more assists than I think he's gonna get. I like Yves Missy. If I was New Orleans, I would keep him because like if you're gonna blow up
That's
the
the thing.
team, at least have
That's the
something.
thing. I agree with that, but I think when you're doing Duren for Jones, I don't know how much necessity there is for throwing in draft capita. Whereas my other option for this deal to acquire Herb Jones is Isaiah Stewart and a second round or 2 second-round draft picks for Herb Jones and Misi. So that way we get a big back, and we can still go to that free agency market or whatever to probably pick up a third-string center. In the Pelicans fire sale, I think Trey Murphy or Herb Jones got to be so high on our list. I don't know if I'm assuming the front office can work more magic in finding ways to acquire Trey Murphy the third. He would be my first option, but I love the potential addition of Herb Jones on this team too.
I mean, while we're just making up trades here, let's just get them both while we're at it. But Mike, what do you got to say about getting Trey Murphy or Herb Jones on this team?
Yeah, I'd like Trey Murphy, but I don't know how that's feasible. He just signed a huge contract, I think, in the offseason. Or 2 years ago, or last year. Didn't he sign a huge contract?
I think it was this past offseason. Yeah, he
Last offseason.
extended.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the main trade target you be involved with is Isaiah Stewart because it works with the money. Where you gonna put him? You gonna put Jaden Ivey on the bench
In what situation?
if you get Trey Murphy?
Murphy would be the 4. And if there's a
Oh,
situation
I'm
where
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Sarr would be off the bench.
Sarr would likely be off the bench. Can we take a moment?
Oh,
Welcome to the pod, live from Colombia.
Oh,
Live
yeah.
from Colombia.
Gabe,
Just
I
sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
just proposed a deal for Trey Murphy III, who signed a $124 million extension over 4 years. Found it really difficult, and then I pitched a deal for Herb Jones, the 2 guys I've identified from the Pelicans roster. You got anything to pitch in? I know you're a huge Trey Murphy fan.
Yeah, exactly. I love Trey Murphy. I don't think they're gonna move him. I think if anything, Brandon Ingram, as I predicted in the offseason, will be on our team pretty soon here.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't love the idea of going and trading for BI because like all reports are like his value is dropping by the day, and his contract runs out. Like he's not getting an extension. Why don't we just save the assets and pick him up as a free agent at the end?
yeah.
Sign
Mhm.
and trade.
Sure, sign it. Why not just sign straight up? Who cares about the trade? We have a bunch of money freed up.
They'll probably do a sign and trade because wouldn't he get if he signs with the Pelicans, you get more money.
Well, like, is Brandon Ingram demanding like that huge max? Like, he's going to be a sub max player. He's like, is he making $30 million a year next year?
He's
Why
gonna
not?
want
I've
to.
seen
Could pay
his
them that.
contract. I've seen
He's gonna.
he's gonna get
certainly.
that.
He's gonna want to. He's gonna ask for it.
I mean, if
I
Tobias
think
Ask
we-
Harris
for
can
and get, or
I mean,
different
Tobias Harris
things.
got 2 years, 52. So, like, is Brandon Ingram gonna get more than that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure he's getting more than that.
Yeah, so like it's
But,
already
like,
going to be closer to 30.
We
at
can
that
give him
point.
4,120 or something. Like,
This-
is he getting that much more from the Pelicans? Like the Pelicans team you just said wants to blow it up.
I mean, if they don't
I
want
don't
to
know.
extend him, I don't know if they're going to be willing to like. Yeah, good point. I
I
don't know.
just always hated that what like the Knicks did for Melo, where his contract was ending, but they dumped a bunch of assets for him. Even though he wanted to go to New York, even though BI doesn't want to go to New York. It's just, there's a lot of assets to give up for someone that's going to be a free agent.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think he's going to Houston though. I really want Brandon Ingram, but I think he's going to go to Houston.
I think Jimmy Butler should go to Houston just for fun to have him and Dylan Brooks on the same team.
Yeah,
Throw two
I
things
want
in real
him to
quick
go to.
before you
go-
leave again.
Okay, Gabe's got to go. What you got?
I went scuba diving today, and the ship was called Reef Shepherd. Reminded me of Reed Shepherd.
Yeah, okay.
What about Zach LaVine? I know Mike is pretty high on him, right?
Zach LaVine.
Yeah, we'll get there.
No.
All right.
Ooh.
My Wi-Fi will disconnect now. See you
All
guys
right.
for the next
Yeah.
pod.
Thanks.
See ya.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thanks,
tuning
Gabe.
in.
Safe travels, my man. Let's roll.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of glad Gabe kind of made a special appearance because, so he doesn't make me look foolish and alone when I make this trade proposal here. So
Do we have any other notes on the Pelicans before we let Mike go crazy with his take?
No, Mike, go crazy.
Go crazy,
on.
Mike.
I mean, I think since you're kind of facilitating things, I think you should act as the general manager.
Ooh.
And at the end of all of our prepositions, you got to pick a deal to make.
Ooh, okay. All right.
So-
I mean, one I would personally like offer or like
Between the ones that
I'm
you're the
trading
Pistons
Langdon.
GM, you're trading Langdon, me, Mike, and Connie are here, pouring out these ideas for trades, and you got to pick one.
Oh man, you guys are gonna offer me light too. You're offering. Okay, I like this. Who's gonna work? All right. Well, Mr. Pelicans GM, I appreciate your offer, but I'm gonna hang up now and listen to Mr. Mike Brooks over here. So, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah. So we're making trades before the trade deadline starts like sniffing around. We're trying to get it like done pretty soon here so we can push to get in this play-in tournament and have that veteran leadership and firepower, offensive weapons to get us over the hump to get in that playoff spot and kind of get us to that next step, and moving forward and exposing Cade so we can get some players coming in here pretty soon here so we can give him some help before he leaves the city. So my first trade proposal, I have two. And then this will all work to get us successful in the first round and make some noise. I guarantee it. Guarantee. Yeah. So we are 27th in the league in offense. We need some firepower. We need some offensive weapon. We need some leadership. We need a dog that can be with Cade Cunningham. And that is Zach LaVine. I just got a report on Bleacher Report. I'm not sure if it was from a writer that his trade value is going downhill by the second. All right. He doesn't have much trade value. Yeah, he doesn't have much trade value. I don't think we have to give up too much for him. We're going to give up Isaiah Stewart, who's averaging 6 points a game and was pretty much a no-show against Boston when we try to put him in the starting lineup. I think he's a really good trade asset. Makes the money work. We have to get rid of Fontecchio. Just signed a 2-year contract.
Agree.
Makes the money work. Tim Hardaway, expiring deal. We keep Malik Beasley so we can get some 3-point weapons, but we got to get Tim Hardaway out of there to make the money work. And then 2027 second rounder. All right. Then that's all it needs. All right. So we didn't give up too much. All we really gave away is Isaiah Stewart. All right.
So what's the whole deal? Can you just run down the whole deal real quick?
Isaiah Stewart, Fontecchio, Tim Hardaway, in 2027 second rounder for Zach LaVine. All right. And that push Jaden Ivey to be our 6th man. who I think can thrive in that situation.
You know, when you said Zach LaVine, my natural instinct was to be like, no. His value is low because he makes way too much money, but I would love that deal. That'd be a great deal for the Pistons squad.
Right? Now, you can throw in, I don't think you need a first round pick for him. Obviously getting rid of Isaiah Stewart, we're going to need a big man. All right. So who do we need to get us over the hump? How can we get over the hump? All right. We look for expiring contracts, all right, that have bad contracts, but that can be serviceable. There's plenty of guys out there. I'm looking at names like Clint Capella from the Atlanta Hawks that are pretty much a dumpster fire and pretty much going nowhere.
The
right?
Hawks?
I
Bro, are you watching basketball, man? The Hawks are
watching.
cooking right now.
I'm understanding. I think
I am understanding.
I understand. It's too early, guys. I understand. When it comes to later January, February, I think that's the guy towards the trade deadline where the Atlanta Hawks may not be making a push. I think they would be very, very interested in trading for Clint Capella if we give them some picks. I'm talking maybe a protected first round pick.
Oh, no. Sorry.
And then a maybe a bum like Marcus Sasser or something like that.
I liked your other deal, Mike. I hate this one.
Yeah, I'm leaning with Coni on this one.
We need a veteran center. We
do.
A veteran
center. We don't need Clint Capella. Not for that.
Then let's get rid of Clint Capella. But we need Zach LaVine on this team. That is a go-to. And I think we need that. I think we can get that deal by middle of January.
All right.
Easily give us enough games. He will win us games. And get us into comfortable playoff contention.
The Bulls are also trying to shop Nikola Vucevic. So would you be interested in throwing Vuce into that deal as well? Just out of curiosity.
We're going to have to throw some protected first-round picks.
This is true. So I did see a report today that the Bulls do want a first-round pick for Nikola Vucevic, given the fact that they got very little to no draft compensation. Actually, got no draft compensation in the Alex Caruso, Josh Giddey trade. So I liked Vali's proposal on the last trade that we give up a couple of seconds for Vuce. A first, I'm not so sure about. But
we can't draft anyway, so it's not like we're it's not like our track record's like.
Well, I'm just saying if I'm gonna give up a first, I don't think I'd want to give it up for Nikola Vucevic, in that scenario.
Protected.
Okay, if it's top 29 protected, I think I'd do it. But I love the idea of getting Zach LaVine on this team. Right now, yes, the contract is just not good. But he always plays really, really well against us, so maybe he'll play really, really well for us.
It's not that. He's an LCA killer, man. He's an LCA killer machine.
Yeah. So I don't
He's
know
comfortable in there.
If he can channel that, then I think we're good. But Coni, Vali, you guys have any thoughts on acquiring Zach LaVine? Coni, you kind of gave yours already, so I guess I'll go over to Vali.
Just the Zach LaVine trade.
Yeah, just the Zach LaVine trade. No, we're not going to talk about the other.
Yeah, I do. I actually have a lot of opinions. This is a Pistons team that has been bottom of the league defensively for years on end, and they had a hot start defensively this year, but I think we kind of communally agreed that's been kind of in part to teams being a bit cold. So considering you're still evidently one of the worst defensive teams in the entirety of the NBA, I would not be comfortable trading away the lead leaguer in blocks off the bench. Isaiah Stewart leads the entire NBA in shots blocked off the bench. You mentioned he did nothing in that starting game he got to start against Boston. It's difficult when he's listed at 6'8", and we didn't run another center. We didn't.
And I wouldn't say
Paul
he didn't
Reed.
do nothing. He blocked KP, which was
he blocked the shit
impressive.
out of KP. on top of that, they're running the entire game. They're running double 7-foot lineups. Chris Stopps was always met out there with either what's his name, the Beast,
Keita?
Luke Cornett,
Luke
or
Cornett.
or Nimias Keita, both of which are both over 7 foot and have weight on them. They're not like a Thon Maker 7 foot. These guys have meat on their bones. So I'm not comfortable giving away our best interior defender, and I would say our best defender. I'm not comfortable giving him away for a guy that is horrendous on the defensive end, a guy that is in decline statistically and in terms of games played. He's playing less games every single year due to injuries. um, I'm simply not comfortable giving away our best defender for a really bad defender, even if it makes our offense better. I understand it'll make our offense better. Then you're moving Ivey to the bin, and Ivey's not going to be here, and that's really understandable. Ivey's been horrible recently, but I'm not ready to throw away some future in our defense for maybe like max 1.5 seasons of good stuff. Mike texted me that, and I said, not a bad trade idea, Stan. I think that's a Stan Van Gundy move. I am very strongly opposed to the acquisition of Zach LaVine, especially if it means we give away our big man, leaving us with only one center, and that's Jalen Duren, who can't play more than 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, well, you sure acted as the Pelican GM there, just totally pushing me in the other direction from Chicago. I agree with you. I don't want to get rid of Stu, considering he is potentially the best defender on this team. To this point, given that Asar hasn't really had a chance to establish his footing as the best defender yet. The scoring would definitely be a huge plus, but the defense would also take another huge hit. So if defense is the identity and we haven't shifted away from that, then yeah, I don't think I'd want to get rid of Isaiah Stewart. But if we could somehow, Mike said it, right? Zach LaVine's value is super low. Just, hey, take Tim Hardaway Jr. If you have to, throw in Tech. that should be it. Like, if his value is so low, we're not going to give up Stu. But Connie, any other thoughts before we go on to one of your trades?
The atrociousness of our defense in that situation, which means like if you could somehow swing something where you're taking on both Vooch and LaVine and keeping Stu, that would be great. But my first trade could really be for either, if you could do this for Vucevic or you could do this for my true center target, because let's be real, center play is what we need on this team. Valley said it with the Celtics. They're just running two 7-footers, and it's Isaiah Stewart and Asar Thompson, which like I love those guys, but at some point you get a little too big. And an absolutely fantastic big man on a middling team. I mentioned it before in a previous podcast, is Jakob Poeltl for the Raptors. That man is putting up damn near all-star numbers. He is he is a solid defender around the paint. He's just a fundamental, fantastic big man. He rebounds. He protects the paint. He's not a terrible passer. He came up in that Spurs. I'm not saying he's a dimer, but like he's not an idiot when it comes to like moving the ball around. He sets. He's very wide. You see how he's built? He's kind of built like a door. He's very wide. He sets a very hard screen. But you give him Duren and Tim Hardaway Jr. You throw in perhaps a second or a heavily protected first-round pick, and you get Jakob Poeltl from the Toronto Raptors, and you have two Eastern Conference All-Stars on your team.
Wait, who's the second one?
Cade Cunningham.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page. Okay.
Dude, just wait for it, man. When every single one of these guys drops like flies, it's gonna be Tyler Hero, Jakob Poeltl starting one of those 8-man rosters.
Yeah, probably. I said it on the last pod. I don't know if I want to give up on JD yet. If we could do the Jakob Poeltl trade without giving up JD, I think I would do it. But if I did have to give up Jalen Duren, it would not be for a Jakob Poeltl.
What are you seeing from this guy? Like, teams watch the Pistons, right? Like they see what Jalen Duren does on the court, and I
do. I don't know, man. I'm not ready to give up yet. I mean, and again, that's not saying much because I also was like on the Killian Hayes train. I probably just threw away any sort of integrity I just had with that, but it's fine. But I'm not ready to give up on Jalen Duren yet. I still want to keep him around at least until Feb. If we're gonna trade Jalen Duren, I don't want to trade him right now by tomorrow night, for example. I don't want to do that. But if he hasn't shown any improvement by Feb, then still I wouldn't be on board with it. But if the right deal comes along, then yes. And I think somebody that I have at least a thought of acquiring is somebody you're going to talk about in a little bit, Connie. But before we get to that, we'll kick it over to Mike because Vali kind of gave his thoughts on this deal last week. Mike, how would you feel about getting Jakob Poeltl on this team?
Connie, I really like that trade. I don't see any. I just. How does the. Well, can you run down that trade again? Like what we have to get rid of?
Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jalen Duren, and maybe like some sort of minor draft compensation.
My honest question is like, I mean, does Toronto even want him?
That is a good question, right? Like
Yeah.
I can't buy it, man. I'm sorry, man. He is so ass, man.
Who?
Jalen Duren.
No.
I'm gonna say I'm sorry, guys. I looking back, I bet it. The audience is probably gonna go look back at my stupid take on how good he was last year. He is so bad, man. And I don't. He's not even like contract. Isn't his contract up after next year?
He's up for a rookie scale extension, I believe, at the end of this season. Him and Jaden.
But he will have a year after that, though.
Yeah.
Still, like you can let him just keep going and have to like play for the have him in a contract year. Jalen Duren might be a contract year player.
I think we're gonna have to get rid of some picks or some protected picks to make that happen.
Yeah, and you could do the same thing contract wise for Vooch, if you want to pick up Vooch.
Yeah,
Which I'd be less inclined to do because Poeltl's better.
Understandable.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think if you're gonna get rid of Jalen Duren, I think you're gonna have to get rid of some picks.
I don't know. I feel like you could sell Toronto on it. You have Tim Hardaway Jr., who's a wing shooter. They need shootings around their young guys to like show them off and like give them space.
Yeah.
Jalen Duren, classic roller. He's had some good games against Toronto.
Yeah, I just
guy might believe in him.
Yeah, I like the player at all. I like the player, like the vision of what you're trying to do here. We need size. I just think I think trades now is just you kind of got to get a little aggressive on getting players that you need. And I think a lot of picks are necessary. I think I want to be shocked if protected firsts are involved in these type of trades like that. But it's something you got to do if you're trying to develop your team to keep Cade Cunningham from the city,
Mm-hmm. Any other notes on the Jakob Poeltl trade before we get moving a little bit more into one of Valley's other trades?
Yeah, I can't wait to hear Valley's trade.
No, all right. You good to go, Valley?
Yeah, all good. Well, we're going right back to a familiar destination. That is Chicago. And obviously I despise the Levine acquisition, but I am interested in Nikola Vucevic, Vucci baby. I think he's someone that you can easily get because Chicago can say, hey, I want a first rounder for Vucevic. I think every team's going to be laughing at them. I don't think any team is throwing in a first round pick unless it's like, I don't know, the Warriors. But a deal I have for Nikola Vucevic is Tim Hardaway Jr., 2 second-round draft picks. In exchange, the Pistons get Vucci baby. That easy.
I would do that.
I would do it in a heartbeat, and I'd be comfortable throwing a third, second-round pick. And the part where I think the Bulls would get sold on this is because you can package 2 or 3 second-rounders and turn it into a first-round pick. Or you take your gambles. If they come from Detroit themselves, that could be a pretty decent second-round draft pick. I think you could convince them. What this does is add another big to the Detroit Pistons roster and add floor spacing. It's pretty evident. I think the main concern with Vucci is his defense. But I really don't think you're going to get much worse of defense than than Big Duren. I think he knows where to be more. Unlike Jalen Duren, I think he can help out defensive rebounding tremendously. Maybe not so much in that offensive glass, but a guy that knows how to box out. And he'll get his hands on some rebounds. Him boxing out will probably lead to Cade getting more triple doubles, honestly. And when it comes to Tim Hardaway Jr. gone, I think that really frees the potential of ideally a Sar Thompson starting, ignoring, a potential minute restrictions due to his health restrictions. But ideally, I think that opens up a spot for Sar because Vooch is shooting a career percentage from deep this year. We saw that when he torched up Jalen Duren. And maybe in practice, that would lead to Duren starting to step out to three-point shooters. But I think it'd be really valuable just to have more bigs because we're short on bigs. And now that we've waived Paul Reed, we're even shorter on bigs. I would love to add Nikola Vucevic. On his day, he's an all-star caliber player, at least on one side of the court. He's been doing this thing for over a decade. In Orlando, in that pick and roll, unbelievable. I think he and Cade could be fantastic in the pick and roll. A thing, Connie. No, I'm sorry, that was Pirtle. Never mind. Eighth in the league, I think it is that Stewart and Cade are on the pick and roll. I think right in front of them was Pirtle and Davion Mitchell. So just to quickly touch on how monstrous Pirtle would be as a screener, but I think Vooch could provide that same thing because that 8 to 10 foot little jump shot or push shot, whatever you want, he can knock it down every single time. And I think that's a look you get to almost all the time. You could have a Sar cutting and the rest of the court be pretty spaced out. Hardaway being gone frees a Sar, and I think it'll give Malik Beasley more minutes. And I think that would almost force us to finally use Marcus Sasser, who's been, I think, pretty great in the minutes he's gotten. And I'd be shocked if he's not in the rotation starting Monday. Because Ivey's been, I mean, not to get into it, but Ivey's been horrible, and Sasser's been better than him. I think a Hardaway plus draft capital for Vucevic is almost, to me, like a no-brainer to at least call the Bulls an offer.
Yeah, I mean, we need a big, for sure. But we're running a little long here, so I'll kick it over to Connie or Mike. Any of you guys have anything else to add about Nikola Vucevic coming to Detroit for Tim Hardaway Jr. in a couple of seconds? No? All right. Yeah, we've talked about Vooch a lot over the last couple of weeks, but Mike, do you have another trade to offer?
No, I mean that Vucevic trade. I mean, I'd love to get Vooch for a bag of shit. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I don't know if the GM of Chicago. I mean, Valley. Let me ask you this: when we send him that offer and he accepts, is he sober?
They're having a fire sale, and it's been made very evident they're trying to get rid of everyone on their roster. You send them 3 second-round draft picks, I think in a heartbeat they say, okay, what more can you get for Vucevic? I don't think they're getting a first-round draft pick.
We will have to wait and see. But Connie, I know you have. Oh yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
We will wait and see. We will wait and see. Maybe we only have to wait until tomorrow night. But Connie, I know you have another trade for us. Why don't you throw that our way?
Yeah, I would, and I know you agree on this. I would absolutely love to get Walker Kessler on this team. Again, a great big body that is just a big body. Can defend the rim and roll a little bit, and will give us a little bit more size.
Note a little spacing at Auburn too, if we really want to get greedy.
I don't know. And JB Bickerstaff, if Walker Kessler is not shooting 3-pointers on this team.
You're right.
Can I drop a Shams bomb? Our first Shams bomb?
Yeah. Go.
Kind of as a market gauger. The Brooklyn Nets are finalizing a deal to send guard Dennis Schroeder and 1 second-round draft pick to the Golden State Warriors for DeAnthony Melton and 3 second-round draft picks.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Melton, I believe, has a torn ACL and is out for the year.
He does. Very unfortunate.
It's just kind of a market gauge as to seeing where we're at.
I mean, it's a 2 second-round swap, pretty much. Sure.
Yeah, and I like Dennis Schroeder a lot. I would have liked him on this team, for sure. But Connie, who are you proposing we trade to Utah for Walker Kessler?
Jaden Ivey?
Ooh.
Do they?
Not the J draft pick. I thought you were gonna throw that way.
Do they say
Connie?
yes?
He understands. I completely understand.
Jaden Ivey for Walker Kessler. Who says no?
But then you're keeping Stu, JD, and Walker Kessler on the same.
Yeah, sure.
Great
I mean,
trade, Connie. I love it.
you could throw Stu in there if you want to take a grab at somebody that they got,
Like
but not
I
Stu
think
Duren. But
like I was mentioning earlier, one of the names I would trade Jalen Duren for is Walker Kessler.
like, why does Utah do that? They're like, hey, let's trade our young center for a worse young center.
Because like Mike was saying, they were out drinking with the Chicago GM the night before, and they're not sober when they accept the deal. This is
I
why.
don't know if we can count it. We got, I think, less NBA executives are functioning alcoholics than you guys think. Uh, like Jaden Ivey is someone that you might, get behind.
I would be
Um,
sad, but I would be very happy to see Walker Kessler on this team. He's almost everything we need at this moment. Size, rim protection, still a pretty decent lob threat for Cade to hit. Like I don't see like Walker Kessler is basically everything that we need from the center spot right now.
you could, I mean, he's a rookie. So really good. You could throw in Jalen Duren, get back Johnny Juzang if you wanted to.
Johnny Juzang's over there. That's true. Forgot about that.
But I don't think that's a good idea.
No, it's not. It's a terrible idea. But you know what? While we're just is Larry Markkinen still available? Let's just go big or go home at this point. I would love Walker Kessler on this team, no question. I would not want to part with Jaden Ivey, but if that's the only way to get it done, we already have our guard of the future. We can find another scorer in free agency. Walker Kessler is what we need right now. That's where I stand with that. But Valley, Mike, how would you guys feel about Walker Kessler?
I love getting rid of Ivy for him. Great trade, Connie.
All right.
Thanks, man.
All right, Valley.
Yeah, I love it. I would love Walker Kessler on this team. I don't think that the Jazz would do that deal. Jazz also love a white guy. But I don't really think that that's a deal that they would make. I would love it. I don't think it's completely out of the box, but it would be a difficult one, I think, to persuade old Danny Ainge over there.
I would also like to get who is that guy that torched us in Summer League? I like to know the guy. Filipowski, is that his name?
Yeah.
I don't I don't want Filipowski.
And that
I
he's like
mean,
a personality perspective.
all right. Any other trades we have to offer before I kind of give like the deal I would kind of take? Maybe I'd accept a couple because there's different players out there.
What if they just sign JaVale McGee or Robin Lopez?
I'm all right.
Fill that roster
That works for
spot.
me. All right, sounds good. I feel like everything we did to this spot and to this point is useless. Let's just sign Robin Lopez or JaVale McGee. Call it that.
I mean, you're talking about a bad presence, 3-time champ.
Sir.
Dwight Howard was telling he wanted to get back in the league.
Oh yeah, let's go get Dwight Howard.
Hell yeah, let's get Blake Griffin back.
Let's do that. I think we should just run it back with Blake. I think that's a great idea.
Is Reggie on a team?
Reggie Jackson's on the Sixers.
He's on the Sixers.
I don't have a trade for these two last players I really like. But I just want to mention the names Jonas Valanciunas in Washington, and I want to mention Larry Nance Jr., who I think is a very versatile player that could really help any basketball team.
Valanciunas was also a name we had circled as a potential free agent before Troy Weaver came in and played spoiler. I would not be angry at a Jonas Valanciunas acquisition, especially because he's probably on the lower end of the scale of like what we would have to give up. But I would like Jonas Valanciunas, or Larry Nance has his values too, so I wouldn't be angry with that.
Kyle Kuzma?
No thanks. Absolutely no thanks.
Don't be that guy, Mike. Don't be that guy.
I would hate to be that team that acquires,
No, okay, that's better. Don't be that team to acquire Kyle Kuzma. Don't be that team, people. Don't be that team. All right, so before I go and I give out the trade or trades that I would accept, I want to go around and everyone just throw out what they offered just so that we kind of bring it back full circle. We'll start with Valley, then we'll go Mike, and Connie, you can finish it out. So, Valley, what were the trades that you are suggesting?
Jalen Duren for Herbert Jones straight up. Isaiah Stewart and a second-round draft pick or 2 for Herb Jones and Evis Misi. Tim Hardaway Jr. and 2 or 3 second-round draft picks for Nikola Vucevic. And that's all I got.
All right, Mike.
I got Zach LaVine for Tim Hardaway, Fontecchio, 2027 second rounder, and Isaiah Stewart, who averages 6 points a game.
Okay.
How many points?
6.
Oh, okay.
How many
Okay.
per 36?
All right, and Connie, your trades?
We had JD and Tim Hardaway Jr. for Jakob Poeltl or Nikola Vucevic. Ivy for Kessler in some sort of way. And just signing JaVale McGee.
All right, so I'm a wheel and deal here. I'm going to trade Isaiah Stewart to the Pelicans for Herb Jones, and I'm also going to trade Jaden Ivey to Utah for Walker Kessler. I feel like those 2 trades would significantly increase the defense of this team. Also acquiring a established shooter in Herb Jones would also
established shooter Herb Jones. Okay, all right, man.
But he's better than some of the guys we got on this team.
That's true. I like this. I like this a lot.
An improved shooter.
An improved shooter. Okay, yeah. An improved shooter.
An improved shooter.
And then, 2K has Herb Jones for some reason listed as a 6'7" shooting guard. So you could go Cade, Herb Jones, Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, and Walker Kessler as your starting 5.
Wait, 3 is who? 3 is
Asar or Tim Hardaway, whoever you want to do. Malik Beasley, you could do that too. That's fine. I'm happy.
Cade, Malik, Herb, Tobias,
Kessler.
I don't hate it.
And then Jalen Duren is your backup center.
I don't hate that either.
So, any other notes on that before we wrap up this trade special pod?
I'm all set.
I think so. Mike, anything to add as you've been gone for a minute? Any hot takes you got for us?
Hot takes on the spot?
Hot take on the spot.
Spot take.
I think Asar Thompson, I'm still sticking to my gut, is like our new revamped Stanley Johnson.
Ooh.
He's so much better.
Like a new improved Stanley Johnson.
Is it a compliment or a diss?
I don't know.
It's a diss.
I think it's a diss. It sounded like a diss.
I got one. Ron Holland ignited me with that performance against Boston. Shout out to Ron Holland's dad, by the way, liking and retweeting our tweet, right?
He just liked it. No retweet.
He just liked it. Well, shout out to Ron Holland's dad.
Shout out Ron Holland Sr.
Let's get some more Ronald Holland, as George Blaha likes to say. Let's get more Ronald in here.
The stadium announcer says that too. I wonder if that's what he wanted to go by.
Hey, Valley, DM him and ask him if he wants to be part of the pod.
Who is that?
Ron Holland's dad. Give us the inside scoop on how he feels about Detroit basketball.
Ooh,
that'd be neat.
That would be neat. I will work on that. Valley may have better luck. I'm striking out left and right here on people to join. If you want to join the show, let us know. It's not a cry for help. It's an open invitation. There's a difference. You guys are still listening. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Buff Sound Podcast. But let us know if you would accept or decline these trades. Let us know how you would feel about a Cade, Malik, Herb Jones, Tobias Harris, Walker Kessler starting lineup. But until maybe tomorrow night at 12:01 when we have an emergency podcast for the Buffs on Detroit, the future is bright.